40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast.
Let's start it. Evan, how do I say your full name? Evan Michael Goodrich.
That's right. You nailed it.
Perfect. Preferred pronouns?
He, him, his.
Okay. And
What's your favorite of
we'll
those
start.
three, though?
I love that. I'm partial to the him.
Him's nice.
Because I remember, because it makes me
Got a
think,
nice
okay, was
vibe
there a
to it.
band called Him? Is that what, because I remember in middle
Yeah.
school.
Haim.
No, him, Mom. The heartogram. By the way, the episode has started.
Haim.
The episode has started. This is all in the episode.
Okay. Shush. I have to do the intro.
No, but we're using all this, so let's just go with the natural flow of the
Oh my
conversation.
god, we're using this? Cursed.
No, we're not.
Him was the band that was very hot topic,
Stop
and they had
it.
the heartogram.
Stop talking.
You don't remember the
We're
heartogram?
not supposed to be in conflict. I do
We're
remember
in this
the...
now.
I
This is
do
this
remember
is
the
all in the
heartogram.
episode. Camille,
Let
do
me-
not cut this out. Do not.
I swear to God. Hello everyone. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and welcome to another brand new episode of I'm 40% Podcast.
Woo!
With me as
Plenty
always.
of warnings.
I know. With me as always is my stinky little angel, the co-writer of my current touring show, Everything at Stake, Nick Sahoyah. Hi.
Hi. It will be over by the time people hear this, right?
Okay, well, you co-wrote the show I just closed, maybe.
Yeah. And I got to see it this week. Evan and I are... Wait. We have to
And our
introduce him.
guest today, and our guest
Breaking all the
today
rules this week.
is the co-host of the Degrassi podcast that Nick does as a moonlighting job because this don't pay diddly.
Oh, if you want to know what pays even less than this podcast, come listen to me and Evan's podcast.
And this is not, when I say that, I hope that is no affront to Studio 71. That's just the nature of podcasting. Evan Michael Goodrich is with us today.
Hello, here I am. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
Evan,
you.
did you like our show? The show that me and Jinkx made?
Yes, so I saw Everything at Stake on, it was Monday night, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was so fantastic. It was at the Orpheum, which is a gorgeous theater in downtown LA. And I was moved. I laughed. I shed a tear. It was everything. I'm so proud of you two. It was incredible.
Thank you.
Grazie mille.
Now, Jinkx, you say something nice about Evan.
Well, I've never seen Degrassi, nor do I ever listen to podcasts. So, Evan, you have beautiful hair and a smile that could light up a room. Big
Thank
Bambi
you.
eyes.
Do go on. Keep going. Keep going. Keep
I'm
going.
sad that I initiated this. This is weird.
Very, very him presenting eyebrows.
Should we just get right into the
Leading
episode?
man handsome. Okay. Now, wait, no, we're not going to go to the episode yet because there's lots of things to discuss.
Okay, go ahead.
Mhm.
So, don't we have a news thing?
No, do I have to tell you how we do the show every show?
I
I
need
told
my own
you-
soundboard.
I told you that if I have news, I will come to you
Well,
with it.
I
You
have
don't come to
news.
me and say,
I
"Where's
have
the
news,
news?"
so push the
If
news
there's-
button.
Fine.
Good news, everyone!
It's not
What is it?
good news, actually.
Oh.
Zoom saw that episode of Black Mirror and said, "Hey, let's do that." And so, the one where like streaming Wi-Fi companies take over your life and make a show out of it with AI. Anyway, Zoom
Is that the one
has
with Jared
basic-
Goldstein? I didn't watch the new season yet.
Yes, Jared Goldstein is in it. It's called Joan is Awful, and it's starring Annie Murphy.
Past guest of the show. Jared Goldstein, not Annie Murphy.
But Annie, I know you're listening to this.
Come on the show, babe. You know you wanna.
Well, basically, Zoom sent out a updated terms of agreement where basically it's like, hey, if you saw that episode of Black Mirror, we basically want the rights to be able to do that. And so to use Zoom, you have to agree to that.
That makes me feel angry.
I got a new sound. Did you hear it?
With full transparency, we've been using Zoom.
Who hasn't? The pandemic, this thing that happened?
Lots of entertainers took to Zoom to maintain their livelihood, and so we'll be finding a new platform. So goodbye, Zoom. Thank you.
This is the last one. Goodbye,
Thank you
Zoom,
for your
suck.
service up until you decided to become the bad guys. You saw the strike with the production companies, and you thought, "Hey, let's get in on that." But let's go with the production companies. I don't get it. I hope you're recording this, Zoom, you turkeys. Okay, now
Evan, thoughts?
Did y'all know that Zoom expects their employees to stop working from home? It's almost like they think their product They're like, you guys have to stop working from home. You have to stop using our product.
Right as COVID is spiking again, like zero sense
it's
of
like
the
they
irony
admit
there.
they're like, our product sucks. They're like, actually, you can't use it anymore. It's not working.
Are we in the Twilight Zone?
We're in the scary mirror.
The scary mirror. See, Evan's been watching the new.
I watched. I did. I did my research.
You've seen all the new ones?
No, so I watched, because I hadn't been watching until you assigned me this episode we were going to talk about today. But I was like, okay, I gotta at least watch the premiere. So I watched the premiere and then I watched this episode.
Great. You've seen most of it. Most of
yeah,
the new.
I've seen 2/3. I've seen 66% of this new season.
Well, don't discount the 0.666% there as well. That's also very valuable.
So,
do we talk about the episode now?
What's your history with Futurama? Have you watched it before?
Yes.
The newest season?
Okay, so I have watched the original. It's the original 3-season run, right? I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched that.
It was 4, and then it got reshuffled into 3. Okay. It's all very confusing.
Okay, I watched the original broadcast episodes at least I think 2 times all the way through, and I have a lot of fondness for those early seasons. And then I've watched, like, when it was on Comedy Central, I kind of would like watch an episode here and there, and the quality seemed to sort of like vary episode to episode. So I was like, And then, but I, watched the series, or what was the series finale, and found it incredibly moving, and thought it was a great way to, end this show. And so when I heard they were bringing it back, I thought, oh, okay, sure, why not?
Well,
so here we are.
I was just unabashedly excited when I heard it was coming back, mostly because I just get excited about, I know that writing can be up and down with long-running shows, and we've seen it even with this show, but I've always felt like Futurama, it's like that adage about pizza, like even the worst pizza is still pizza.
Pizza and sex. That's the bit.
The bit. Anyway.
But speaking of the soundboard,
I was also just excited about that.
Speaking of the soundboard,
voice actors coming back.
I love the voice actors. Speaking of the soundboard, last week I commissioned the audience to crowdsource some ideas for the soundboard, and 2 people out of all of our listeners sent me DMs. I actually think there was an email, but don't email me. I don't see that shit. I will check it though. Person who emailed me. So 2 sound clips made the cut. Faye the Clown. Shout out to Faye the Clown. Thank you for messaging. Suggested this.
The clamps!
I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know how often that will come up. That character is in this episode, and I still don't know when I would hit that button. But thank you, Faye the Clown. And Kevin M. Chiasen, I hope I pronounced their name right, suggested this one, along with several others, but this was the real winner.
At the risk of sounding negative, no.
I feel like that one's going to be very useful. So if you have... and then I added this one.
That makes me feel angry!
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for sound bites that can be funny in many different contexts. So yes, maybe you send me a very funny, like, paragraph-long line that you want to be a sound bite. I think maybe these little short snippets are better. So that's all. That's the end of the soundboard. This is the new segment. The soundboard suggestions.
Soundboard updates.
Did you just make up that segment? Okay, let's get into the fucking episode.
The episode, How the West Was 1010001. Original air date, August the 7th, 2023. There is no cold open, but there's some weird future... Did you hear this? Did you hear the spooky sounds?
Yes, there were spooky sounds. And then the Chiron was based on an actual UFO sighting. Now, how do you think they save the Chirons for last so that the Chirons can be like topical to what's going on today?
That's what I thought when I saw this. I feel like the Chirons are such an easy thing to do last minute that they probably could have done this last week and it would have been ready for air.
I give this 4 out of 5 Chirons.
I give this 2 out of 5 Chirons. I don't think the syntax tracks with the punchline. It's just a little... I didn't like it. A rare 2 Chiron from me.
Do I rate it as well?
Yes.
I think a 4 is appropriate.
Okay,
Thank you, Evan.
Fuck my drag. We get into the episode. The professor enters Planet Express. By the way, Evan, on our podcast... This is Evan's job, is he has to watch the 30-minute episode and write for like 90 minutes to get all the information on the page. And I really like that he does that on our podcast, but I have to do it on this one. Do you like relaxing, Evan? You didn't have to write down any synopses?
It feels right. It feels correct to just lie back and have you orate.
Okay, that got very...
Oh, well, that's your filthy mind.
No, you're a perv, Evan.
No.
Oh my God.
Professor...
Stop flirting, ladies. Let's get on with the...
We have a very platonic flirtation. I think that's what happens with, creative partners.
What
this
am
is
I?
news to me.
Chopped slivers? Okay.
The professor enters Planet Express, and he tells everyone they're bankrupt because he invested in Bitcoin, and he does like a whole speech. He enters
the room by saying, "News, bad."
And Evan, he normally has this catchphrase. This is kind of the opposite of that, isn't it?
That I'm familiar. Good news, yes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Good news, everyone. It's because I lost my voice.
No, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like when Amy does her impression of the professor. That's exactly what you're giving. Anyway, he gives a whole speech about how the company's bankrupt, and then he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were watching TV," and he just starts watching TV with everyone. And as luck should have it, it's the news monster and the news lady, and they're talking about how the price of Bitcoin.
Well, first, the planet, what is it, Clark, is destroyed.
Oh, the planet Clark is destroyed, yeah.
And 50 billion people are now deceased. And then Linda goes,
Ooh, that's a good soundbite.
Is Linda
Can I get her laughing? Is that funny? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good soundbite. But what, I mean, like, is that the future of news? Anyway, I know they've been making that joke for a long time, but they're really just like, they're like, 50 billion are dead, and she laughs and goes, and now on to capitalism. Like,
that's what the news is like, though, right?
The news do be that way.
So
it's gonna be that way soon.
Basically, the professor has bankrupted the company because he invested in Bitcoin and then it crashed and then he sold at a huge loss. And then, as the news tells us, it immediately skyrocketed. And now there's something of a gold rush in the American West Coast.
Yes.
And for Bitcoin.
So much good stuff happens right away. Like, they fly there in the ship, and then they have to go on ground.
Yeah, let's explain this. Because the electricity in the area is being used to mine the Bitcoin so much, it creates an ionic field. So the ship cannot fly, so they turn it into a covered wagon.
And then Leela says, "Good thing we brought our oxen. We usually don't." And then immediately...
You fuck with Oregon Trail? You ever play that game when you're supposed to be doing schoolwork?
Absolutely not.
What?
The West has no appeal to me.
Oh, so this was a rough episode for you.
No, I was entertained, but like I'm familiar with the tropes of like Westerns in the Old West, but it's like I do not. It has no appeal to me. But this is lampooning it, so it's fine.
Oh, so you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
See, for me, I feel that way about fantasy to the point where even if it's parodying fantasy, I still don't enjoy it usually.
You're an asshole.
I'm sorry, I don't like it. I like the future. That's what our audience is interested
in. Let me say my piece. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Oh, I added a feature where if you raise your hand. I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Jinkx has the conch.
I grew up in Portland, Oregon, where, Oregon. So we all had the Oregon Trail on our computers, and we were encouraged to play it.
That's not... What? Honestly, what the fuck are you saying?
Is that part of the Portland public school system? Is playing Oregon Trail?
You're acting like every computer in Oregon has the Oregon Trail on it. You just grew up at a time when the Oregon Trail was a free game. You're an idiot.
That was most of my education. Just how not to get dysentery on the trail. Okay, so then the professor is explaining why it's so old westy because all the electricity is being siphoned off to other places. And then Amy says, "Got it. Wink, Old West." And I thought that was hilarious. But then moments later, the professor goes on to say, "Now we have to appear to be Old Westy so that we fit in here, so no one knows that we're here to mine what's the
thallium.
Thallium." And then Leela again says, "Got it, Old West."
It's pretty
And then
funny.
for the rest of the episode, we are in the Old West.
And also there's a funny line where the professor says, "We all need to do Old West stuff to get by." But we're skipping over like kind of an important plot point.
I just wanted to get out that I love they're just like, because we've had many episodes where they have convoluted explanations for why they're in these weird scenarios. And I just love that this time they were just like, "We got it. We're in the Old West now. That's this episode." Not breaking the fourth wall, but tapping on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I guess the thing that I just want to mention before we move on with the episode is the thallium, which they're there to mine and then sell to the Bitcoin quote unquote miners. They're doing it because the robot mafia has like given
Bye,
the professor
Robot Mafia.
Bye, Robot Mafia. That was very funny. I love when Fry very casually greets or says goodbye to people. I always think of "Hi, Animatronio." Do you think of that?
Bye, Animatronia. Yeah.
Evan, when I say the name Animatronio, what does that mean to you?
I don't remember who that is. Who is that?
He's a sort of Italian Da Vinci-esque robot who lives on a robot planet.
Oh, okay. This is sparking.
It's not a good episode, honestly.
I would give it a B-. It's fine. So that's the only thing I wanted to cover. They arrive at Doge City, which is the town where the Bitcoin mining is happening.
Which
Obviously,
is a
reference
pun on Dodge City, yeah.
Well, and also Dogecoin. So
and Dogecoin, of course, yes.
So we're mixing a couple things here.
Yes.
And there's a very tired bit where the old man is changing the population sign as the six of them come in. And I was like, that's a dumb joke. But then the old man died and he lowered the population by 1 because of his death. And I was like, wait, this is very funny.
He was very dedicated to his job. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Everything about Bitcoin just goes completely over my head. I know to stay away from it. They call it a pyramid scheme in this.
Yeah,
I knew
I'm glad
that much.
this is a very diminishing of the Bitcoin culture.
But the thing is like I'm not going to name names, but I do have a friend who made a bunch of money doing Bitcoin shit. And I'm like, it's nefarious, isn't it? Right? The whole thing.
I think just like the stock market, you can make money, but I think it's much more volatile than that.
I know people who use Bitcoin.
Should be illegal.
I know people use Bitcoin to buy drugs because it's good for that.
I'm into that. Actually, I like Bitcoin now. Come around.
Yeah, I mean, the show makes it very clear, like, top of the episode, because Leela's, like, the voice of reason. And so she says up front, she's like, it's a pyramid scheme for rubes. And, the professor's like, yes. And I plan to, exploit those rubes. Exactly.
So do you think maybe Jinkx's friend was like the professor and exploited some rubes?
Hopefully, Jinkx's friend is not the rube.
No.
Babe? No?
No, he's not the rube.
Wow. Okay, so they go into a saloon, and we meet a very exciting new side character for me. I loved this saloon lady so much. Her bit is so stupid. She has drastic mood swings, sentence by sentence, and that's her whole bit, and it was
just
killing
like
me.
Cryptocurrency.
Yes, and that was the sort of thematic tie, was that her mood is as volatile as the crypto market, which I thought
What's her name again? Viola?
Delilah.
Delilah.
Delilah. I was calling her the saloon lady, but yes, her name is Delilah. They said it at one point.
I love the player piano robot.
He's funny.
Because the scroll for the player piano goes inside him, and then it makes him play the piano.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Futurama, is when they do something that sets them back in a different time, they it's like they find the weirdest things to be futuristic, like but it's still old-timey. He's a player piano robot rather than just being a robot that has like a database of piano songs installed in him. He's like an outdated robot that moved to the Old West because that's where he's useful.
Y'all ever play Red Dead 2?
No, don't like the Old West. Remember?
I know, but it's such a fantasy. I really enjoy it. I recommend that game that sold 15 million copies. I bravely say that's a good game.
Can you be gay in it? If you can't be gay in it, then I'm not interested.
Let me think. I guess you can't. You can.
Well, there you go.
You can only. You can't really have sex. You can get no. You're playing a specific character named Arthur.
You're losing us.
But the thing is, it's not like you can have sex with women, but you can't have sex with men. You can. There's like one kind of doomed romance subplot, and then the only other physical stuff is you can get a bath from a sexy lady.
So you can't have sex with anyone, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not like the Old West at all. They all had chlamydia. I gave it to them.
Speaking of getting a bath behind a saloon, the player piano discloses to Fry that behind the saloon is a house of ill repute. And he says, "Ill? You mean a hospital?" And the player piano says, "No, I mean a cat house." And Fry says, "A pet store?" And then the player piano says, "A brothel." And he says, "A soup kitchen?" It's really funny. And then Roberto enters, and do we know Roberto? We haven't met him in our main watch through yet, so I guess we have to explain who Roberto is.
Oh, really?
Well,
I don't think we've met him.
Yeah, we
yet.
haven't gotten that far. Well, Roberto will be revealed to be Bender's old college chum or something.
They knew each other back. Yeah,
they knew each other back in the day.
But his bit is he's always stealing, and he's even more
stabby.
He's always stabbing.
He's a malfunctioning robot that makes him unstable, and he's continually robbing and stabbing. And we'll see him multiple times, and he gets. I honestly feel like Roberto gets too much time.
He's in this episode a lot.
He gets too much screen time throughout the series.
Oh,
I just like.
Hot take.
I don't know. It's kind of like the joke of this mentally unstable robot wanting to hurt everyone all the time and everyone living in terror of him. It's just kind of.
It's a little problematic.
It's not even that it's problematic. It's just kind of, it is a little problematic, yes. He's a fictional robot character, so I'm not trying to go all, but I will say that it's just kind of tired. Like, we've seen him do it so many times, and it's just always the same thing. I'm gonna stab you. I'm crazy.
You didn't
I'm
like
crazy.
his gun
I'm gonna
knife?
stab you.
I did like
liked
the gun knife.
The gun knife was really funny.
I liked the gun knife. I
later
did
when
like
he's
that he
doing
was
that-
seeking help. He was seeking help. He had a psychiatrist, but then he killed him.
Well, spoilers. We go in order. Evan, why are you mad at
because
her?
of medical malpractice. What?
Whenever I say something out of order on our show, Evan screams at me for 10
Well,
minutes,
I'm
and you
just
just
so
spoiled
glad
a
to hear
huge
that-
plot point.
Oh, shut up. It was not a huge
Listen,
plot point. It was
I'm
a
a guest
throwaway
on this
joke.
show.
Evan didn't even blink. He didn't even care.
I'm a guest. I can't say anything. This is y'all's show.
You can't
And you're-
scream. That's what this show is. We just scream at each other.
You're berating
Join
our
in.
guest. Evan, initial
Wait.
feelings on Roberto.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm like, he's not like a character that I've ever particularly like cared for that much, but I will say, I mean, I feel like Futurama does a really good job at like visual gags, and the knife gun is a very funny visual gag. So
Did you
of
like
course
when he
he's in
was
the Old
playing
West,
that-
so he has to have a knife gun.
When he was playing the like game that they play in Aliens,
Yes,
where you do the
yes.
knife around your fingers.
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
just shooting knives in
And
between.
he's just
He-
shooting knives at his hand.
When he enters, he says something like, "Watch out for my knife gun I invented stole. Now pour me that drink I didn't order."
Yeah,
And so it's like, I don't know, he's got funny-ish bits.
there's
I'm
some
just-
funny things.
I'm
Let's
just
talk
like,
about-
I'm over him.
Let's
Give
talk
me
about
a
the
new
side plots.
psycho killer.
There's quite a lot of side plots here, and I really liked this episode, but I think the reason it was my least favorite is of the 3 new ones so far is that there was a little too much going on. Here's all the side plots. Dwight, Hermes' son, they're having trouble bonding. They like went on this trip together so they could bond in nature, but Dwight just wants to play his Nintendo DS, and he wishes his dad was cool like Roberto. Behind the saloon, Bender buys a burro from an auction. And
Probably my favorite subplot.
it's really stupid. I like the whole thing with the burro. And we have Leela, who gets offered a job as a barmaid / prostitute, and Amy says,
or prostitute.
and or prostitute.
And Amy's like, you can be a good barmaid.
Yeah.
I don't think Leela has the skills to be a barmaid.
Yeah, it was good. And then, and then there's another big subplot. I would say this is maybe the B subplot. We were introduced via young adult novel, reintroduced to the Borax Kid. Evan, have you ever met the Borax Kid in the Futurama adventures that you have seen?
No, I
He's
don't.
in like
think so.
2 episodes in the last
Borax
season.
Okay.
Kid is such
okay. So this
But
is
I
a
kinda
character
like it.
that's established. Okay,
Yes,
I did
he's
not get that
introduced-
at all.
He is introduced completely unceremoniously as like a character with 2 lines in the end of one episode. And I think it's very funny that, 10 years later.
Borax Kid? I've got your $50.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden he's a fully fledged character with like a scheme and like a backstory, and it's very strange.
A series of novels.
A series of young adult novels. Yeah. So there's a lot going on.
Well, I thought the Hermes subplot was a total chop for me.
It could have gone. It could have been
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
I think the only reason they kept it, as long as we're saying things out of order, is for the limbo thing at the end. But we'll get to that later. Would you chop any of these storylines, Mom?
Where do I begin?
Toot or boot these storylines?
Well, I want...
Have you ever done fashion photo review?
Me?
Yeah.
No one
Why
wants
not?
my opinion on fashion.
What?
I don't got none. Listen, okay, so the Hermes subplot, I think an obvious chop. It feels like, yes, Nick, that maybe it was needed for the end, and then they like went, oh gosh, we got to keep it in for the end.
Because
so the
all
end
of their
can
scenes
happen.
together are like 5 seconds long. It's that it
Yeah.
does seem like there was more of it at some point.
Yeah, I forgot that subplot was even going on. throughout
Maybe
the
it got.
episode.
Maybe it was going to be its own episode and got absorbed into this one. I don't know, but
And we have another thing going on because Dr. Zoidberg goes to
That's right.
goes to Doc Fiesta,
Well,
the
that's
town
just
doctor.
I mean, that's just Dr. Zoidberg being background noise, like
Yeah.
But this was funny.
when they
Come
went
on.
to Atlanta. He had his little house side plot,
love
and it
his little
barely
house?
affected anything.
But let's talk about the scene where he goes into Doc Fiesta's, I don't know, doctor practitionership. I don't know what you call it.
He's just Doc Fiesta.
Clinic. His clinic.
His clinic. Thank you. There's a word for it. And Dr. Zoidberg is like grilling him a little bit. And
What's your survival rate? Pretty high. I'm a psychiatrist.
there was a funny detail, speaking of, to tie it back into the Borax Kid, when Zoidberg walks in, Doc Fiesta is reading a book called The Borax Kid versus Doc Fiesta.
No.
So he's reading a book about himself fighting the Borax Kid, which I guess is supposed to tell us that he's like bad or something. I don't know.
No, I think it's just like an Easter egg, like he's about to be killed by the Borax Kid. I don't know. Or maybe the Borax...
And I think we skipped over another thing. There's too many things going on because Fry, in the saloon, or maybe this is right after this scene, he becomes the Borax Kid's sidekick because the Borax Kid's sidekick is killed. They keep dying. Much like the drummer in Spinal Tap.
Because Roberto wants the Borax Kid to come out because, it's the Old West. So the villain has to take on the, hero figure. And he sends Mumbles out, but not without his signature hat. So Mumbles...
Yes, the Borax Kid puts his hat on Mumbles.
And
who goes out and is shot in the street.
And he says to Fry, I'll need a new expendable... a sidekick. And then Fry goes, will I get to die in one of your novels? And he goes, yeah, page 3. Like, Fry's not even gonna make it that long.
He's not bothered at all. A couple good moments we skipped over. Leela has fully settled into her job as a saloon girl.
She looks great.
She looks really good. And she is sort of lamenting that only one person has asked her to go into the back room because it's flattering when they do. And she says to Fry something that I will be saying on a regular basis for the rest of my life. Could I do anything to look sluttier? And I'll be saying that every Friday night.
He said, nope.
Nope. He says nope. And then when Mumbles is killed in the street, Dr. Zoidberg, who has taken over the dead psychiatrist's clinic and is now the town doctor, declares Mumbles dead in the street, even though he is moving and mumbling. And Dr. Zoidberg says, hey, I'm the town doctor. I'll say what's going on. So I guess maybe Fry won't die. Because this one didn't.
Oh my God, there's another subplot because...
There's so many subplots. What is happening?
Because Bender, remember when Bender tries to sell his ass? Tries to see if...
That's the next scene. Let's go into it.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it's not subplots. It's just this episode is a series of 10-second vignettes. Like, everything moves so quickly.
It's like a music video. It's like the Moulin Rouge.
I mean, it kept moving and I was entertained, so I guess I can't complain.
It is entertaining. It's very funny, but yeah, it feels like it's like confetti.
Yeah. So they go to get the thallium, the one little bit of thallium they've discovered so far. They get it appraised by this sort of old prospector man.
You used a tooth test. That's not going to compare to my metalometer. And then he pulls out some teeth
that are like attached to a wire. And it gets the exact same reading that the professor got. So they realize...
Are they testing it with... Oh, because the prospectors used to buy it on the gold to see if it was gold or fool's gold, right?
Yeah. So they test Bender's ass for thallium. I don't believe that Bender would sell his ass. This is the only thing that I didn't believe in the episode, because we went through a whole episode of him trying to find his ass.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't sell it for anything.
He loves that thing.
Yeah. So, but they say there's no thallium in there, so they have to just go... I don't know. This was crazy. Was this not crazy?
They use his ass as a
sifting pan.
A sifting pan.
But later. I was afraid to say that because I thought that if I said that, I would be skipping over like 5 other vignettes. It just moves very quickly.
Too many. How long until we get to Bender singing his song about his ass, and he's jumping around on the burro, and the burro starts singing along. I love musical moments on Futurama.
Yeah, we could talk about it now. Go ahead. Tell him what happened. They're sifting with Bender's ass, so he gets on the ass and he sings a song about how ass is the same word as ass. Evan, did you like this song?
I thought I was thoroughly entertained.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like a little musical moment in an episode?
I do when it's done well. So like I think this was good. I feel like there's like the show Big Mouth, that's like a musical episode every episode, and that was too much for me. That's why I can never get into Big Mouth. But like,
well,
musical...
you're speaking to a bit of a Big Mouth household here. I think we both really like Big Mouth. But I will say some shows don't need to go on for 6 seasons and a spinoff, because I sort of found that show had run its course by like the 5th season, and I was still laughing, but I was just like, I don't know, are we doing anything new here?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I love Big Mouth. I don't know why I'm talking shit on it.
No, that's my job. I'll talk shit about Big Mouth. No, I like musical numbers when they're used sparingly, and also like this was like an old, this is an old Western episode. So like having this little musical number where, Bender's singing sort of like, an old Western cowboy song. I thought it was appropriate.
And it ends with this bit of him he's not actually riding off into the sunset. Right. He's actually on a treadmill with a background.
With the background, yeah, like an old Hollywood movie, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the joke. And then he gets too into the ass song, and he steps on the burro's back and breaks the donkey's back. Is that what happens? It looks really painful.
And he screams, "Damn it, why wasn't I listening to my own song?" Because he's singing about how heavy he is, right? And he's singing about like the weight of his ass and the weight of his other ass and how heavy he is. And it's all, what I like about this episode is it's a lot of smart, science-y, mathy, periodic table jokes, even though they go over my head because I don't know any of that shit. I like that they're there.
Back at the saloon, there's just a one-off line that I thought was funny, where the saloon lady's doing her thing, and she's talking to Delilah, and she says, "I'll kill you in your sleep. Nice boots." And Leela says, "Have you considered seeing anyone about your mood swings?" And she says, "No, but it is a good idea." I love this. This is one of my favorite new side characters. I cannot wait to find an excuse to bring Delilah back. I thought she was really funny.
Dwight is cozying up to Roberto soon. Yeah. Is that next?
Yeah, and Roberto wants to use Dwight in his plan to rob a stagecoach on its way to San Francisco, which is what we called San Francisco the entire time we lived there. We did call it San Francisco, did we not?
So, yes, we did. So the scheme involves Dwight laying on the tracks to stop the stagecoach so that Roberto can ambush them. And the stagecoach just runs right over Dwight, and Roberto says, "I guess you're not as cute as I thought," or something like that.
Because the whole idea is he's so cute, they have to stop the stagecoach. And then it just runs him over.
Yeah, and it breaks his spine.
It does break his spine, which doesn't seem to be too big of a deal.
And it will become plot relevant later on.
It will.
I knew the second he was in a 90-degree angle, I knew that was going to bring him together with Hermes with the limboing factor. So,
Bender brings an injured donkey to the Newtown doctor, Zoidberg. And he needs to get the back fixed on the donkey.
He puts a splint on the donkey.
Yeah, they put a splint on the donkey, and that's fine. Fry and Leela are walking home together. This was a favorite scene of mine. They're walking home from the saloon. Leela's escorting Fry, which is a nice subversion. And then they are ambushed by a puma. And
or a mountain lion, or a cougar. They're all essentially the same really. Animal.
And Leela is going through these semantics up until the second she is attacked by the mountain lion. And it's very funny. And they are able to scare off the mountain lion while Leela has her eyes closed. Fry fires a couple bullets off, and they don't hit the puma, but they do scare the puma off.
And the Borax kid takes the credit for
Takes
it.
the credit. He comes out and he says,
Now,
I
is
scared him
Leela
away.
actually falling for it, or is she just distracting the Borax kid?
She seems pretty convinced.
Right.
Huh. Leela's acting surprising this season.
She is, I think something happened to her in the time freezing. She has become very erratic.
She's
and I like
not as
it.
prudent as she once was. I like it too, but it's also like, yeah, she's a whole new Leela. Time.
New year, new look, new Leela. Right, Evan? Evan, you get it from our other
Do I?
podcast.
Do what?
New year, new look, new Leela.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
think that's funny for us, but not for
That's funny
Jinkx.
for it's for the Degrassi audience.
It's for the
tuning
Degrassi
in.
audience. Yeah, you wouldn't get it, Mom. Have you ever even been to
Degrassi.
Canada? Idiot.
Many times. Let's go on with the
Amy
episode.
finds an enormous thallium nugget by sifting with Bender's ass. Yeah.
They're like, I
But
found it, and it's just like a giant boulder.
Huge. Like, why would you need to pan for that? You would just see it.
But I love, before that, she goes, dang it, no, hardly any thallium, just worthless gold. And they
It's a
have a
huge
giant
pile.
pile of gold.
They are guarding the thallium nugget. They have to take shifts guarding it overnight because they can't sell it until the morning. It's Bender's shift guarding the nugget, and Roberto shows up to rob them.
But
And
Bender is
also thinking of
contemplating
stealing it,
stealing it, of course.
But what happens is we actually don't see what happens. We cut into the next day. Bender, Roberto are missing. So is the nugget. And the burro has been tied to a tree. And Amy notices something's wrong. Rusty has been tied to a tree.
Amy is
Rusty
emotionally invested in Rusty.
I think I am. If Rusty is just on the Planet Express ship for the rest of time, I'm pretty happy with it. I liked him.
Oh no, Rusty!
We're 10 seasons in. We can have a new pet. Nibbler's not doing much anymore.
Now, where the fuck is Nibbler?
Where the
Nibbler?
fuck is Nibbler?
Has
Where the
Nibbler been in
fuck?
the season at all?
Has he?
No.
Wow.
Did he not survive the time dilation?
Oh, hush.
Oh, hush now.
He's a very, very old.
Oh, niggle snush. So we've got a great line where no, not yet. God, this is a confusing episode.
I sympathize with you. I don't know how you're synopsizing
I'm
this.
so disoriented.
Synopsizing.
They follow the burro
Synopsisizing.
because Amy pronounces that Rusty has caught on to Fry's scent, to which Hermes says, what now?
Bender scent. It's even more convoluted because how is this? Well, I guess he smells like metal.
It's
and
just funny
booze
that
and
Hermes is like,
cigars.
that makes no sense. But then
Yeah.
cut to them following the donkey.
And Rusty's sniffing the ground
Yep.
like a dog.
And it brings them all the way back to the saloon, past the piano player robot, to the back room where we think there is a brothel. But they kick down the door and it's just a room
Wait,
with a bed.
Amy, I love Amy's line. This is the worst brothel I've ever seen.
Have you been to any brothels? Just
Me?
everyone. Yeah.
Oh, never. It sounds like a fun experience though.
Is it tacky to go to a brothel and, I'm going to tip the ladies. I'm not probably interested in having sex with a sex worker in a brothel situation. I just don't think that's my bag, but I'd like to soak up the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I feel like it would just be a fun place to like party.
I think it depends on the brothel, really. If the show Harlots taught us anything, it's that
What didn't it teach us?
it taught us a lot about ourselves.
I'm going to allow this.
Go on.
Behind the door, there's another door in the room, and they kick it down, and there's a room full of robots and
just
robot
their heads.
Yeah, and they are
robot
being
heads.
exploited their heads to mine the Bitcoin. And this was when I was pleased that they decided to make an episode about Bitcoin, because ultimately, if dumb techies want to gamble their money with Bitcoin, I don't really care in the abstract. I have more of an issue with the environmental thing, the impact of just mining Bitcoin all day for no reason, just to create a new market where there didn't need to be one. Like, that's more my issue. And this robot head metaphor both parodies that, and then smartly Hermes is like, well, that is pretty much what robot heads should be used for. So it's like, in this world, it's actually kind of okay. It's pretty funny.
I'm
This is a
glad you
nuance.
synthesized that for me, because all I thought was it kind of looks like the head museum.
Oh, but for robots.
But for robot heads.
They're just fucking, they literally will like park a truck out in the middle of the desert and just run Bitcoin.
Yeah.
off the truck's gas
I
engine.
didn't even, I know so little about
No
how
one knows
it
anything about it
works.
except for that it's fucking stupid and it is bad for the environment. Those are the only things you really need to know. If you're out there investing your money in Bitcoin, what are you doing? Just don't do it. Why don't you invest in yourself?
Yeah. Why don't you invest in Dogecoin instead?
Okay, great. There was like a very
NFTs.
Yeah.
NFTs are just Bitcoins, but it's even stupider because they're just a JPEG. There was a funny, I guess, for the tech bros watching this Futurama episode, there was a funny bit about, oh, we were able to mine 1 Bitcoin. Oh no, it's just an Ethereum, which is Mark Zuckerberg's Bitcoin. So I did appreciate the jab at Zuck. That was fine.
My boyfriend did laugh at that one. He was like, "That's really good."
That's a very Daniel joke.
Yeah, it was for
Daniel
him.
looked up from his Bitcoin app and he was like,
Daniel
oh, that's a pretty good one.
Day-Lewis? You're dating Daniel Day-Lewis?
I am.
Daniel
yes.
is the tall person who you were
I remember.
sexually advancing.
Oh
Three
my
time-
gosh. I was not sexually advancing. I said hello.
Evan, watch out. Jinkx wants your man. She told me.
I said hello, and I said you're tall. I guess
He
So,
is.
certain
That's his like
plan-
primary
circles.
personality trait is being tall.
There's no plan to get out of this. Oh, and the saloon lady is kidnapping the
Oh, she's
robots.
behind it. She's behind
She's
the
the one
whole
behind
scheme.
it. Yeah.
And but she is importantly donating the proceeds from Bitcoin to charity.
This
Because
was when the
she-
bit was fully sold to me. When she was
She's
like,
the
I have
kindest
this-
person you'll ever meet, but she's got a fiery temper and she has mood swings. Listen, until she revealed that she was donating the money to charity, I was really certain she was gonna pull off her disguise and be mom. And partially because she's also voiced by Tress McNeil.
Sure.
Right.
And they have distinct voices, but I was like ready for when the professor said that's evil, or like, oh, who could be so evil? And then it's like I was ready for her to say, ha 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 ha, you stupid goat, it's me. And instead she said, I give all the money to charity.
Yeah, that's
So,
not a mom move.
Orphans, right?
Orphanage.
Orphans, yes.
Yeah.
Orphanariums.
Yeah, she called it an orphanage, not an orphanarium. Wow.
Maybe Leela's from a special orphanage. That's
Maybe it's a
more like
coastal
an
thing.
aquarium.
Like on the West Coast.
It's a regional difference.
So a couple of payoffs to jokes here. They can't escape the head place, and the only way out is to burrow out. So they have the burrow.
Oh, wait,
That's
but
the whole
it's-
reason they've been calling it a burrow.
But you
this whole
missed
episode.
it. She says, "I'm going to lock you in here forever, but I will send you snacks."
Oh yes,
Daily.
she's gonna bring them snacks, and she's like, Zoidberg's like, oh, snacks are nice.
I think part of the joke here too is that burros are known for kicking really hard, and I think, I don't know that the setup was entirely there, but it's like the smart way to use the donkey in this situation is to have him kick the door open, but instead they have a donkey with hooves
Burrow
dig
through linoleum.
dig out of this situation.
So we now have my favorite joke in the entire episode. Leela is walking with the Borax kid. They are seemingly courting each other at this point. They have engaged in courtship, and the Borax kid, he's being so ostentatious. He says, "This tie pin? Why, it was a gift from my good friend Diamond Jim Diamond." And Leela says, "You mean that guy who's just a big diamond? You know him?" Favorite line of the episode. And I don't feel like I need to say why.
It's a good line.
Evan.
It's a good line.
Okay. Fry shows up and reveals that he discovered that the Borax Kids' self-published YA novels are actually ripoffs of public domain Buffalo Bill Cobalt novels. Which I don't know if that man is made of cobalt or if he's just named after cobalt. I don't know.
Where do
I think
these
it was
elemental
cobalt.
people come from?
Well, he was blue, but he didn't look like he was made out of rocks, you know? Like the Borax kid looks like a rock man. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I think the blue is just like he's cobalt. He's blue.
I know, but
Cobalt
did you
blue.
see him on the cover? There's a little picture of his head.
Yeah.
And it didn't look rockish.
I guess.
It doesn't. Do
Is
you
cobalt
know what
a smoother
cobalt?
rock
I
than
think it might be
borax?
smooth. I think it might be
Ah.
smooth.
Okay, great. So yeah, they decide to have a duel over this. And then simultaneously, the piano player robot comes out to play tense duel music, and the prospector guy who's been giving him a tough time the whole episode, and they've been starting a rivalry, he challenges the piano player robot to a duel in the opposite direction. So we've got like
Everyone-
an X.
It's like all of these many plot points are all coming to a head at once.
No wonder it's so crazy, because there's 6 plot lines that come to a head here. Because Delilah is like walking on a bridge that I don't know why it's there, and simultaneously Bender and the part of the gang who had been kidnapped escape with the burro through the hole in the ground, but Delilah is on the bridge, so she is now having a duel up and down with Bender, and the gag is they all start shooting at each other, and we have a duel going on all 3 axes, and it flips around, and it's like a 3D graph. Did we like it?
Sure.
I thought it was pretty funny. For a dumb payoff, like at the end of a futuristic themed old Western
And,
episode,
you know,
I thought
of
this
course,
was suitable.
Of course, they're going to overdo the trope of the duel because they're lampooning Old West movies at the same time as critiquing the Bitcoin black market.
So the duel goes on and on for a bit. Dwight, our final subplot, reaches its end. He, because of his broken spine, is able to limbo underneath the bullets. And he has like gravity boots, so he can like drop into the hole and save Hermes from the bullets.
And this brings them together.
It does. They're very happy. He's like, Limbo isn't that stupid, Dad. And it's a win, I guess.
Sounds like your first mistake was committing your life to limbo. From what I hear, it's stupid.
So the duel ends because the piano player robot is shot, and Roberto, of all people, is mourning the senseless gun violence. So everybody puts their guns away except for Fry, who accidentally shoots Leela. He just goes, "Oops, sorry, Leela."
Roberto,
nice comment on gun culture.
Yeah, Roberto is saddened by the gun violence and says, "Can't we just go back to knives?"
And then he stabs the dead robot.
So, then the professor notices that the Delilah's bustle has been dinged by a bullet, and she says, "Oh, it's your hunk of thallium. You can have it back." And he says it's just enough to pay off the robot mafia, who are right there.
Yeah.
See, you already found
I
it.
used it one time. Good job, Faye the Clown. I wrote it down, so I said it twice.
So we have everything tied up at the end.
We do, don't we? So he
Any
pays
lasting
off.
consequences from this episode?
Of course not. It's Futurama. Leela tells off the Borax kid and heads to the brothel with Fry. The robot mafia. Oh, we already covered that. And the saloon lady, Delilah, says, "Hey, do you want to come back to the back room of my establishment?" And the robots say yes to this, not knowing that they're just going to have
robot
their
mafia.
heads.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so that takes care of the robot mafia for a while, I guess.
And our final note
Till
is
the next time.
Until the next time. And our final note is Dwight and Hermes making amends, and it was kind of cute. It was fine. And that's the end of the episode.
It
There's
had-
a lot going on there.
Yeah, the episode was jam-packed with jokes, but the storyline was a bit like hard to process all at once.
I can't say I mind it. I think I definitely enjoyed
mind it.
I can't say I mind it. I currently am in a state of not minding it, so I can't say I don't mind it. Right?
Crypto
mining.
it.
God damn it, Evan. So I think this is probably the weakest of the 3 episodes so far. I would say that. But joke by joke, it's really good. And I enjoyed it more on my second watch because I sort of knew where it was heading. Thoughts?
Yeah. I feel I haven't watched it a second time, so I'm curious to see how it holds up the second time. But I feel like because there are so many jokes in it that like I feel like sometimes it's like I was like assaulted, and like the plot is so erratic that I was like I feel like I didn't catch everything the first time. So I'm curious how it is on the rewatch.
Jinkx, thoughts?
I'm not in a rush to rewatch this one, but once the season is complete and I, start back at the beginning, I won't skip over it.
Do you guys like this season so far? How are you feeling about it?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell
I'm really
with the
enjoying
sample pool. It's hard to tell with the sample pool this size, but so far I might rank it above some of the Comedy Central seasons. I think it's really strong.
I agree with that.
And I feel like the time off has served them well because they obviously have lots of new stuff to lampoon.
Yeah, and I like that. Knowing that they've brought in some younger, newer writers who are big fans of the show makes me happy because I see that in the writing. Like I think that Old West got it joke was like, I don't know.
Futurama fans wrote that joke for sure.
That's what it feels like. And whether that's true or not, I like that the show feels
whether
like
it's true or not, we will assert that it's true.
No. I'm just saying I like that the show has a feeling of it's being cared for by people who, like what they do.
Right.
Do we do the thing now?
Yes.
Do I hit it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Evan, we have some compulsory questions we ask every guest. You may answer them however you want. First question, of all the Futurama characters, either in this episode or that you know of, who do you identify with the most?
Ooh. Honestly, this is embarrassing, but I feel like probably Fry.
That's not embarrassing.
I mean, he's like, I guess not, but like, I don't know, feeling like like you're just like a schmuck and feeling insecure about it, but also kind of being a schmuck. I relate to that.
The most insightful answer we've ever received for this question.
Is it? I don't know about that.
That's a lot of pathos for a question about which cartoon character do you feel like?
Listen, I feel a lot of
Evan, are you all right? Are you feeling okay?
I've been going through it today. It's been hard. It's been hard. These technical
because of the
difficulties.
Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Technical difficulties are really getting to me.
Is Daniel valuing you? Is he treating you with value?
He is affirming to bring it back to Futurama. He's affirming my bad choices. But he's choosing to support me, but maybe never again. The season premiere, I watched the season premiere, like I said, very good. Really enjoyed that.
Our next question for you.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh.
That just raises further questions.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Next question is, of all the Futurama characters in this episode or that you know of, who would you do? Who would you do?
Let's see. In this episode, well,
or in any episode.
Or any episode.
Any episode. Honestly, I know I just said I identify with Fry, but I'm like also Wood.
Yeah.
Wood Fry.
Yeah, Fry's my go-to in this series. Yeah.
That's pretty narcissistic, Evan.
Well, listen.
Our final question for you.
Wait, which button do I push here, Mom? Like I could do this one.
Interesting if true.
That's
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
That's a little dismissive, maybe not.
Yeah. All right, we have a final question.
Yes.
Do it.
I don't know which one. We didn't pick one. How about this?
I thought you just pressed.
Oh God, that's the wrong one. Just do it. Just go.
Evan. Now that you've watched this episode and the premiere, will you be watching more Futurama as the season airs on? And
Well, I guess
will you be revisiting it, perhaps?
I mean, I guess I have to now that I'm invested. Honestly, because I had been wanting, I was curious when I heard that it was announced that they were, rebooting the show, or not rebooting, but, continuing it. Yeah, I think I have to now. Now I'm curious.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah. I mean, I have an affection for this show. I don't think it compares to the affection you two have for it, but I do.
Wow.
That was very rude.
Shots fired.
Wow. We invite you on our podcast.
I said y'all are very devoted fans.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. We had Evan Rachel Wood with us today.
Rachel Woodrich? Is that anything?
Evan
Rachel Woodrich?
Evan Michael Goodrich. You can hear Evan and Nick on their podcast. What's it called? Degrassi and
All
Aboot
Degrassi.
What did you say?
That's what we should call it now. We're rebranding.
Degrassi and my assy.
That's pretty funny. We had Bombay on from Canada's season 1, and she coined the term Degrassi, which we haven't really utilized it since that episode. I feel like it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Bombay.
It belongs to that moment in time. Yes.
Yeah. I adore Bombay. So you can listen to them on All Aboot Degrassi, and we should say we are continuing our podcast. Oh, God damn it.
Did you pull out the mic, Mom?
Yes, I'm so
Leave it in, Camille. Leave it all in. Use all of this.
I am going to have to send you 6 different files. I'm so angry.
Leave it in, Camille.
Okay, so.
The people need to know.
So we are continuing with the podcast as the strike continues and more things develop. SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild may adjust what things they ask as far as terms of the strike. Right now, certain podcast retrospectives are being paused because of their profit share with streaming companies that own the rights to the podcast or host the podcast or whatever. Since we are not doing we don't have any sponsorship, we don't have any financial backers. This is just something we do for the love of animation and our fans who like listening to us talk about it. If there are any further developments and we have to pause recording, we will let you know. But otherwise, we'll see you next week for another episode of I'm 40% Podcast. In the meantime,
Evan,
have
say
a
your
future.
Instagram handle. She didn't let you say it.
Sorry, Evan.
Say your Instagram or your X, whatever you do.
No, not X. Yeah, Insta is at Evan Badpour. There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I just wanted Evan to get his plug in since you kind of trampled all over him. But you finished.
It's been a long episode. Okay.
Go ahead.
I've got 6 different files to send. Anyway, until next week, have a futuristic day, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.